Hello, it's Andy Graham of the Ask Andy Show. I've traveled non-stop for 16 plus years around the world. I've lived in 90 different countries, and I answer questions of viewers and readers. I'm actually in the United States. I leave for Vicabamba on May 17th. I had to stop home because my father died. So we're having a ceremony. It's called a celebration of life. Okay. Mellita. I don't know. Mellita is French. No, this is Netherlands. What am I talking about? Mellita. I don't know how to pronounce in that language. Mellita L from the Netherlands. The proper way of calling Holland. This is Holland, but the proper way of calling it politically correct around the world is the Netherlands, okay? So we often think of it as Holland, but that's really not what they want to be taught. She goes, she wants to know about moving to Togo and to live, and she's 57 years old. I'll read the email. It's quite long, but it's pretty interesting. Hi Andy, you want the question short, but this question needs explaining. And there's two sides. A short line so I can put it in the title is what I want. I need a title, right? I can't put a 5-page title, you know, in my YouTube thing. That's the problem. I have a trouble with titles. It's not meaning you can't explain the question, but if you put the title of it and then put the explanation, I'm better off. I am a woman of 57 years old living in the Netherlands. I have met a Togolese woman 2 years ago in Paris. Now I want you to focus on this. 2 years ago in Paris, she met a Togolese woman. We kept in contact over the internet, and in February I spent 2 weeks visiting her and her husband in Lomé for a holiday. It was a special experience. I saw how the people lived. I eat Togo food and visit her local friends and families. I go back in June for 2 weeks more. I am working from the age of 14 full-time and still need to work until I am age 67 years old to go into retirement. What I would like to do is stop working and leave this overcrowded country and busy, hectic life. My friends in Togo say, come live here. It's easy and no problem. I think that for a Togolese people, nothing is a problem. Good point. Although it was never my intention to go to Togo, I cannot get it out of my mind. Before I do something stupid, I'd like to ask some advice from you. I have to give up my job, rent out my house, and I have a little insurance from my deceased husband. Her husband died, and so she must have some insurance money. My question is it possible so the essential question here is it possible for a 57-year-old woman to live safe in Togo alone on a budget of 1,000 euros a month? What to do about the visa? The idea is to live in Togo for about 10 years and maybe return to the Netherlands when I am 67 years old and get my pension. In 10 years and return when I get my pension. Okay, the idea is to this idea is still at an early stage, and I'm not going to throw myself into a thoughtless adventure based on a 2-week holiday. Kind regards, Mellita. She tells me her name. Okay. This is like rose-colored glasses syndrome, and it's extremely common, especially for men that go on vacations to, well, or men or women, and they go to some place and they have a love affair. This is really a problem. They go on a 2-week vacation and they have this love affair, and it's just the most beautiful thing in the world, and they throw away everything and they go traveling. Now, I have to be careful. I went on a 6-week trip to Mexico, Acapulco, then turned around and went back, and then turned around and went back, and that's how I started my trip. Basically because the 6 weeks I spent in Mexico was obviously a better life than what I was living in Indiana, in the United States, working. I was fortunate because I had a career that could be put on stop and could be resumed at any time, because I was a real estate broker and I bought houses and things like that. But you know, if you're in a job that cannot be put on hold, I mean, obviously the best thing if there's any way, shape, or form that this person, you can, Mellita, if there's any way, shape, or form that you could take at least a 90-day trip to Togo, that would answer all your questions, because all you'd have to do is live in country for 90 days and you could get all these questions answered in that time. Now, you know, you didn't tell me if you're a white person or a black person. That matters, okay? But I would assume you're a white person, okay? I do have a problem with the fact that you met a Togolese person in Paris. The problem is this means that your person is normally probably relatively wealthy, or comes from a family that's connected with the government or something, and really they live a pretty protected life, and they not. There's people that make a lot of money in other countries. I mean, if you're part of the ruling class of Togo, you can do it. Now, the question, can you live on €1,000? That's not a problem at all. I mean, I want to tell you right now, that's not a problem at all. Living on €1,000, you can rent a house. I was offered a house for, I don't know, $300 a month by a German guy who was leaving it, and I could have moved into it. It was really nice. Had a big garden, parking, you know, it was a real nice house. And it was in a safe neighborhood, and everything was fine. Can you live as a single woman? I mean, you're obviously 57. It starts to be a little more dodgy, right? Because, I mean, generally there's not a lot of, you know, there's not rapes and things like that much in Africa. They don't really tolerate a lot of this stuff. But I'm not saying that, you know, it's not, you should always stay in a close area, but the idea of living in another country after a 2-week vacation, and you're basically 100% adult here. You're not trying to say, I'm going to throw myself into a thoughtless adventure based on a 2-week holiday. Well, that after you go back in June, that's going to start to it. The visa part, I don't think the visa part's a really, I mean, I've never been in a country where there wasn't a way to live there somehow, okay? You know, you really, as a Netherlands person, I don't really know the visa. The thing that what they call it is a carte de séjour. I suspect that you speak French, or can speak French, because you was in Paris. So there's a forum on Routards, ROUTARD.com. It's the big guidebook from France, and they would deal with it. But you're in the Netherlands, so you should be able to go, you know, to somewhere there's close to you. There's probably a Togolese embassy or the French embassy, and a lot of times the French sort of are like the father to the Togolese, and they basically, I mean, you can get sometimes in a French embassy, you can get a visa to many African French francophone countries at a French embassy, which seems really strange, but it's like some sort of, you know, it's like kind of like the British Commonwealth, the United Kingdom. They got all these Commonwealth countries, and they're all kind of related at the hip. You know, Canada's got a picture of the Queen on their money. What's going on with that? You know, but the thing is called a carte de séjour, and a carte de séjour. So it's spelled C-A-R-T-E, carte, D-E, séjour, S-E-J-O-U-R, and that's the thing that they always talk about it. My friend from French-Canadian guy was getting one when I was leaving, and I could probably connect you up with, if you're going back, I really would, I'll try to get you the number of my friend that lives there. He's from France, and he has all these questions. Not like he's, the easy way to do it, when you go back, go to the Galleon Hotel in Kojo Via Kopi and sit at the bar at about 6 o'clock at night and just ask this question if you speak French. And they will tell you, I mean, you gotta, that's where all the expats hang out. It's like the center of the expat community. I don't recommend living there, but, you know, and if you, it's according to what neighborhood. And, you know, culture fatigue. I mean, living in Africa is like, I realized in this last trip that I'm not capable, or I don't really want to live there all year round. I can live there probably 6 months at a time, but I don't want to live in Africa, you know, for 10 years. And it really wears on your nerves because of the it's a tolerance of things that are just kind of difficult, right? I mean, they drive like crazy people. They just do things in a very unregulated way that we're not used to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're standing in line, somebody cuts in front of you. There's things that just wear on your nerves, and most of the expats end up driving a car around to avoid the traffic, so they don't have to do it. They buy a car, and they end up living only talking to the expats. They don't normally live talking to the Togolese people, and that is the question. See, you're keying in your vacation on a Togolese person. Plus, I don't know if you met a boyfriend, because most women, whether it's 60 years old or 20-year-old Peace Corps, somehow get a Klingon. They get a boyfriend almost within weeks. I mean, and they're like attached at the hip with this person for the time they're in Togo. And it is, I don't know exactly why, but I mean, most of the women do it. But there is a couple international schools. So if you went to the French international school, there's a French for like young students. The people in there would be extremely helpful to you. Okay, so those two sources are your best sources. So the Galleon Hotel, and they would give you all the ins and outs of getting the visa really quick. I mean, a Netherlands person is not the same. I mean, most of these are French, right? But on the truth, the only way to really test this is to get a 60-day visa, and then you get a better feel whether you want to do it. But can you live on $1,000 a month? Yes. I don't know what your insurance does in the Netherlands, so I mean, self-insured is pretty easy in most of these countries, except for major things like coming up with the money for you know, appendicitis or something big, a big operation. It's like an emergency operation, or, you know, long-term ailments like cancer. But you could, it sounds, most Netherlands people, I think you could probably just get back on the plane and pretend you didn't live in Togo, right? So, any way you do it, you should hold in reserve enough money to fly back. But I don't know where the $1,000 a month, if you guaranteed $1,000 a month, 1,000 euros, I don't know what that is, maybe $1,400. It's real easy to live in Togo. But it's like anything. You have people that think that you have to have $2,000 a month, and I can live in Togo easily for, I don't know, $400, $300 a month and be totally content. But that's me. If you have to have a car, if you have to have a widescreen TV, if you have to have certain things, then it's a problem. But you can live there's almost 300, you know, 220 countries on the planet where you can probably live like a king on 1,000 euros a month. And that is the other side of it. You could go to Togo and switch over to Ghana for a while, then switch over to Thing if you wanted to. But is that the life for you? I mean, you've never done it, so that's the thing. And that's, you need a lick. I mean, there's a British saying, I never get it right. I need a bread around it. But you take a lick before you take a bite. Okay, so you need a good lick, a good taste of the country. But to say 10 years, you know, obviously I mean, I wouldn't even think about it for a second if I was, somebody gives me €1,000 a month, says you don't, I know, I mean, I have that basically. I don't have to live in the United States. And the idea of just squeaking by in the United States on $1,000 is not much fun, but I can live in the United States easy for $1,000 a month. But in Togo, you're going to be a rich person. In Netherlands, you're just going to be an average poor person, right? So it's a lot to do with your self-esteem. Is it safe? Let's just really ask that question. I've never heard of any rapes in Togo. I mean, I've heard of rapes in Dominican Republic. I've heard of lots of rapes in Mexico. I've heard of an incredible amount of rapes in Costa Rica. I mean, on Playa del Carmen, when I was there for 6 weeks one time, there was a rape every single day of a white girl. And the Swiss lady was trying to end it, and the police came and threatened her. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in these countries that you don't know. But Africa is like the least, as far as physical violence that I've seen on one of, I mean, it's not a country where I would say you're going to have that kind of problem. I mean, I would be much more worried about you being a single woman in, I mean, anywhere in Central and South America could be. But they did, you know, it's about how far away you get from the people. You don't want to live in a house that is not surrounded by people. You want to live in I mean, ideally is in like a compound house with eight other people. They have these houses where the walls go around it, right? Then they have the apartments around like this or something like that. You want it so that, you know, people would hear if there's any kind of problem. The people that get the most problem is the ones that build the big house over there, that they basically can walk in and do whatever they want inside the compound house. And but in Togo, there's a lot of people live that way, okay? A lot of the white people. I would recommend you definitely not live that way as a single woman. It's just, you know, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable. You're not going to have that aching thing that somebody could come into your compound house by yourself and do something. Even as myself, I like to live around people. If you don't like to live around people, you know, that's pretty hard in Togo, man. They're everywhere. But a lot of the people that go there don't realize that Kojo via Kope is like the expat center of the universe, and that to live in Togo and not know that is real. I mean, to live in Lomé and not understand that, not know that means you're a hermit, okay? But get in touch with the expat community. Go to the Galeon or go to the Bellevue Hotel. The Bellevue's not as regulars, but there's a lot of, you know, there's probably more Netherlands people there. And go to the Netherlands embassy if there is one or consulate in Togo if there is one. If you speak French, go to the French one. The Togolese one is going to be more or less complicated, right? But you need somebody that's just going to talk with you like I'm talking with you and do it. But you're going to have a 2-week vacation in June, so do that. Is it safe? Yes. Can you live on 1,000? Yes. As long as you're not an alcoholic that spends, you know. I mean, the biggest problem people have is they buy, right? And some people get bored and they go buy. And if this is you, then that's a problem going to be in Netherlands. It's going to be a problem in Togo. Drinking is, you can almost double the budget when somebody drinks, if they're a heavy drinker. I mean, most travelers, they drink as much as the room costs, always. And so they're on continuous vacation. So if you had a real heavy drinking vacation when you was in Togo, think about that. Okay, Andy Graham, Hobo Traveler, Ask Andy show. Everybody's welcome to ask any question about any planet, any planet, any country. I think I'm a dyslexic talker. I have dyslexia a little bit. I think I I really have trouble mixing up my words in my head. Send a question. I'll be glad to answer it. Thank you.
We can pack up tomorrow. Tonight, let's flip